before you begin. You may wish to find yourself a comfortable, safe space where you know you will not be interrupted, not be interrupted, not be interrupted, not be interrupted, not be interrupted. Hi, welcome everybody. This is myself, Alex Grist, and Niki Cotton, creators of the Rebel Heart Tarot, and this is one of a series of videos that we are creating to discuss the creation, the magic, the artisticness and the process of Rebel Heart Tarot. But this is more of a getting to know you session, talking around how me and Niki got involved in this in the first place. So of course, please do subscribe for the series of videos. And if you have any questions about tarot, pop them in the comments below and we'll keep visiting that and reply to you. So hi, Niki.
Hi, love. You're right. I feel like a newsreader sat here. Sort of, what do I do with my hands?
That's why you need to just get your deck and just hold them up.
Yeah, here they are.
There we go. Yeah, so I mean, in brief, we created these together, didn't we? And
yeah.
Oh, let's give a little bit more background. What's your thoughts on how this whole malarkey started?
Well, I suppose it's if we go back into the distant future, if distant past even, it's that kind of connection that you and I had through meeting through Instagram, isn't it? And kind of getting to know each other on there. And then you created Cosmic Mother cards with your daughter, and I bought a deck and just fell in love with them and adore how you work and how you kind of do all your tarot readings. And I kind of put it out to you, didn't I, and said, if you ever fancy doing a deck, let's get to it. And then, you know, life gets in the way, and then you came to it last March, I think it was. I kind of just went, oh, got a bit of a proposal. And yeah, it was kind of, it came from there really, didn't it? I think I was doing the MA as well at the time, and you just bought out your book of tarot, and I'd sent you a card, and I think it was one of my collages with the person with the tiger head, and you'd kind of, I think that had triggered you into thinking, oh, we could be doing something, and then we kind of built it from there really, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, that is the pretty much the timeline of what happened. And we also knew each other through Southwood Hub as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So we kind of connected there a few years back. And I think it's interesting just listening to that timeline and the fact that, sorry, my husband is crawling around the kitchen floor to collect things in a quiet way. It's very distracting. Yeah, so the timeline there was probably perfect, because whilst you suggested them at one point, we then went on to do different things. Both had young kids as well. And it came together sort of after everybody had been on the timeline of COVID and lockdowns and all of those kind of things.
It was kind of born out of that era, wasn't it, really? It's very much a project of the lockdown pandemic, because we've still never met. We've never met in real life. Or the whole project's been done through Zoom calls, emails, WhatsApp messages, photos. It's kind of, yeah, and this is the first time that you've had the opportunity to actually have the images in your hands, isn't it, since the decks have been delivered?
Yes, I've not. It's weird. It's, yeah, I mean, I feel like I know them inside out because it was such an intimate process of creating them, but to actually have them in my hands. And I think there's something in me that's still quite reluctant to just sit and go through them, because there's just so much there. There's so many memories, you know. It's hard to read the tarot. I'm reading the process of, oh, look, that's such a body, and there's my husband, and there's my kid, and there's me, and those kind of memories that are currently really on the surface of those cards for me. And I guess more
daft way of making them as well, and that crazy kind of, oh, we need, I keep coming back to that one with you in the floating in the deflated pool, and your husband's out in your husband's workwear and getting into blow up lilos in the blooming middle of winter, well, middle of autumn, wasn't it? You're surrounded by debris of leaves and things in this. I was just, yeah,
it was hilarious. I mean, it's one of the funniest things that's happened in years. Just the pure ridiculous innocence of it all. Just, yeah, out in a Saturday afternoon or morning in a great orange jumpsuit, kind of taking photo. I mean, the neighbours must have thought it was maybe a bit kinky or something. I'm not sure.
On a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, giggling our heads off while he takes photos of me lying. I mean, how do you explain that?
I know, it is ridiculous.
Oh, they probably thought we were high. God knows. Here it is. Here it is while we're talking about it. Which obviously you took that original photo and did different things with it, and
the background is a holiday photo, so it's a pool from when we were on holiday in Mallorca, and it was just such a lovely image with the light dancing around it. It was kind of, it's that floating on a lilo on a pool in the sunshine, even if you are in workwear, is that kind of classic, just wait a moment, hold it out, and just be in space with it.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that the story behind that is kind of, it's how all the cards are produced in that state of complete random maniacal joy.
Yeah, no, it is. And then chasing people down. Well, I think you'd be really good for this card. Would you do it? You know, that whole kind of, and that connections that we've built with different people through the process, and kind of knocking on doors, and it's a really magical process.
Yeah, and a lot of the people, I mean, the people just in general are such a random bunch. Some of them are people we've known through work. So for me, spiritual people who I've worked with, for you, artists and friends, but then it's family members who don't really know anything about tarot, or I guess, you know, people who we're perhaps not that familiar with, friends of friends. Again, who probably don't know that much about tarot, but some of them were really like up for it.
Really up for it.
Yeah. And it was kind of fun collating them and putting them together, and some surprising people stepped up too.
Yeah.
Like our high priestess, who is really high up in a formal religion. And we didn't know whether she would agree, but she did, and it was, you know, she absolutely made it.
That is just a classic image as well. I remember when we were putting it together, because I worked a lot with my son on the kind of digital side of things, getting things printed out and making them from the photos, and so I could print them and cut them out. And we were putting her on that chair was, oh my goodness, I remember he just jumped with joy when I stuck it down, because he was like, oh my god, it's like she was actually in the chair. And it's like, yeah, no, but it was separate things. You were on holiday with her at the time taking that photo, and it was my mum's chair. It was actually my grandmother's chair in my mum's house, and I just snapped it one morning and thought, oh, that would be really good for a card. And yeah, it just fitted like they were meant to be.
Well, she is a high priestess, even if that's her formal kind of job role. But that is very much who she is. She imbues and embodies that card, just as, you know, like we've got the Empress here, who was very actually pregnant with a child at that point in time, and is now born and is an adorable little chubby chunk of a thing. But yeah, you know, they've all got stories beyond even the tarot stories, and they're ordinary everyday people. So these aren't models, are they? They're just
they're
our mates.
It's just an extension of us. And I think it is that whole thing, isn't it? We talk about it a lot, that sort of imbuing the cards with the everyday, and it's about those everyday people with the everyday items in everyday kind of situations, although standing in a multicolored cornfield with pumpkins around your feet, and, you know, it's perhaps not your everyday, but, you know, it's kind of they're things that you can, they're tangible things, aren't they? They're kind of not out there. They're rooted in the here and now, aren't they?
Much like your front door.
I know, yeah. I love
and your keys.
I know, my keys hanging off that, which we had to make ginormous so we could see them.
Yeah. And a yarn bomb wreath from my village. But I mean, I mean, what an incredible experience. So I guess we're going to talk a little bit as well about our backgrounds and how we both got into tarot, or what our experiences with tarot. So I mean, mine is well documented, so I'll say mine second. What's yours?
Well, mine is really not very interesting in that sense. It's just kind of always been quite an interest of mine, I suppose. I remember asking my mum for a deck of cards for Christmas when I was about 19, and she was like, ugh, what do you want one of those? Because I was of the opinion that you had to have them given to you, they had to be gifted, you couldn't buy them for yourself. So I was like, oh no, I can't buy them for myself, you buy them for me for Christmas, that's what I'd really like. And she was like, ugh, oh, what do you want those for? Oh, that's not good. She's just of that opinion, that old-fashioned opinion. And she bought me the Rider-Waite, which is the classic ones. But I really struggle with those as imagery. They remind me of Chaucer's Pilgrim's Progress and kind of all that medieval kind of darkness. And I do struggle with the imagery, and I find it quite dark, which is why I think I've tried to make these, haven't we? We've tried to make them as light and kind of fun as possible, I suppose, try and invite everybody into it. And yeah, I did struggle with them. So I've not looked at tarot, certainly not like you. I've literally only ever dabbled. I've done the odd bit of course. I've picked them up and put them down. I bought yours, which I turn to all the time since I bought them, because I just love them. They make me smile. The Hanged Woman, when she's, you know, with her red spotty pants on, it's just, and that's where we ended up with that kind of connection with the Hanged Man for ours. I wanted somebody with spotty pants on because of your card. It just makes me chuckle, and it was those unexpected moments in your cards that kind of lifted you up when you were looking at them. But yeah, I have very limited knowledge, which is why it was so wonderful to work with you on this project, because you're like a mine of information and kind of that instinctive way of working with that humor and that contemporary way of, you know, kind of presenting stuff. It's just trying to capture you in visuals is how these have come around, basically, I think.
Oh, so, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I think my first deck was, I didn't own a Rider-Waite deck until a couple of years ago when I bought it for when I'm teaching tarot. And even then, I don't even know where it is. I don't use it. I'm not particularly bound by it. Although I do appreciate that they do tend to be the template for most tarot decks. And to be fair, to an extent, has been the template for ours, to an extent. And there's a reason why. It's because they're good basic images that kind of sum stuff up. But yeah, I'm not mad keen on them either myself. And I think you know, Rider-Waite gave their meaning to those cards, along with Pamela Coleman-Smith doing the artwork. And she's a very interesting character, obviously, within the tarot world. But I think as we move forward, like 100 years or so, I think it's really important that gets redefined and shifted and changed. You see that across the whole tarot world. I mean, like I say, my first deck was Astro Tarot by Russell Grant, which was a really cutesy cartoon kind of deck. And maybe that's informed my work ever since. And it had all the astrological stuff in it as well. And then I went on to have Morgan Greer and the Spiral Tarot. So I really like the kind of illustrative with a lot of imagery upon them. I'm not mad keen on the decks that are, you know, just cups or just, you know, I like the images. People can read like that. People can read playing cards. People can read the air. People can read trees. People can read, you know, all that is around us. People can read nothing, and just connect. For me, the tarot are a prompt, and I like them to be nice and colourful and lots of different pictures. But yeah, I mean, obviously you were quite into tarot from a way back, even though you keep claiming to be a novice and know nothing. And that has changed now, so you need to start owning it.
I still feel a novice. I'm working with somebody who does it every day, you know.
That's how I feel when I'm doing my painting and I send it you, like, let's mark my painting.
And so therefore we're sharing, aren't we? We're sharing our knowledge amongst each other.
Yeah. But yeah, like you tell me, my paintings are great. Your tarot readings are great. You know, you get it. And I think anyone can get it if they sort of devote themselves to it, practice them, keep using them, and give themselves permission to come up with their own interpretations. And that's why I love our deck, because I hope that is what happens with these cards, is that people will feel free to let go of like maybe the more staid and traditional meanings and start to find their own.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, that's what my work has always kind of like with Dirty and Divine. It was a book that explored the tarot, but really explored it from within the kind of guts of my life. And the Book of Tarot encourages people to read intuitively And then obviously the cosmic mother that you mentioned, I created with my little daughter when she was little. And so I created them from that child's viewpoint. And then these have just been a right laugh.
Yeah, no, it's been all about so much connection. I think that's been at a time where we were forced not to connect with people because we were all in that situation, weren't we? And it's been a 3-year process. I know we had the lockdowns, but we're only just starting to come out of that now, really, aren't we? So to have that connection and connect with people all around the world with this, because we had people all over doing them, didn't we? I think I'm hoping it's imbued in the images that they're it's connection.
Yeah, definitely. And that inner seeking, I think, which probably we all got forced into in lockdown, we might have tried to avoid it through overeating or over drinking, or I did a lot of exercise.
I did a lot of eating.
I started off with the eating and the drinking, and then I stopped that, and I stopped drinking completely, more or less. Bar 1 or 2 gin or tonics a year. But then completely just exercised a lot. I looked amazing. It was fantastic. It was my peak, and it lasted about 3 months.
At least you got that ticked box, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been there, done that. But it's good. And but the cards then were, I think people did start turning to spiritual stuff during lockdown. Some people started turning into that.
Connection again, isn't it? That I think well, you and I were talking about this the other day, weren't we, about how I think the world has become so fragmented in that way, and I think people don't have that organized religion anymore, but I think human nature is still to search for something and that connection with something. They might, some people have their organized religion and other people don't, but I think when you're looking for something, it's difficult to connect. It's difficult to put it in words. It's a connection thing. It's connection to other as well, isn't it?
It's connecting within. It's finding, sometimes when you can't reach out and you can't get answers from other people, and you can't seem to find the answer from your partner or your friend or your parent, or in fact their answers are damaging, or maybe even toxic, then, or even well-meaningly toxic, it's finding that truth that lays within us all, that, I don't know, maybe some formal religions do point to. Not all. Some of them, again, place that wisdom outside of ourselves onto the priest or the man at the front. But hopefully these cards, as well as just an approach and walking into spirituality, starts to enable that relationship with yourself. And that, the belief in something more. And this is what I always say, people who are here watching this video, unless they're critics of some kind, are here to explore that something more, that they must have some feeling toward, an intuition toward, or perhaps their own experiences that have brought them to this moment. And maybe those experiences, we do tend to override them, don't we? And things happen, coincidences, synchronicities, magic, spiritual happenings. And we just say, oh, I made that up, I must have dreamt it, that didn't really happen, oh dear, I'm tired. There's lots of ways to dismiss our experiences, but I think most people watching this would attest to having had something happen. Tell us in the comments if you have. I love those kind of stories. I live for those kind of stories.
It's a faith, isn't it? It's having a faith in yourself and others, and I think it's an important thing to have.
And to begin to define it for yourself outside of the structures that other people might put upon it, and giving yourself permission to believe in stuff that has happened, and even if it's the white feather or whatever it is that you have, the butterflies, the rainbows, and the thing is, these things do. Me and my 4-leaf clovers, I can't bloody go anywhere without tripping over them things, and I never look for them. When I do look for them, I don't find them. So it's always, I'll just happen to glance down, and it's usually at a fortuitous time, such as the other day when our cards arrived in the post after we'd been waiting and waiting and waiting for them. It was that morning I found a 4-leaf clover, just picking up dog poo, mind. So really average, ordinary stuff. I was not looking for a 4-leaf clover. I was looking at dog shit.
I know, but I think that's where the magic happens, is in the everyday.
It's the divine in the everyday. That's it. And then on the way home, I found another one, which was the 5-leaf clover, which again was my daughter was trying to climb up this big rock we have near us, and I was leaning to help her, and just there was one right in front of me and her. So, you know, these things, they come around. You can choose to believe them or not believe them, or just think, well, Alice is just really good at finding 4 and 5-leaf clovers, which I am, but I'm not looking. They arrive at fortuitous times.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Magic.
Yeah, and there we go with the unknown. I can't explain it beyond that, and maybe I don't want to. Shouldn't have to. It's just there. It's in here, and I know now that this is some slice of magic I get to experience. So, yeah. So, what was our next question, Nikki?
Well, did you answer how you got into tarot? You kind of said about the decks that you've had, but you didn't actually kind of talk about how you got into it.
So my dad was a vicar who left the church after my mum and him got divorced. Kind of, I think he wandered in the wilderness of faith for a little bit, looked at different things, Buddhism and whatnot, and then eventually settled on becoming a goddess worshipping Wiccan. Set up his own coven where he and his wife became high priest and high priestess of said coven. So we used to hang around, go to goddess. They used to take me, because I was a teenager, to like goddess circles, pagan picnics, which would like sound really exotic, but there was just a bunch of people tending towards wearing a lot of black, but playing rounders and eating sandwiches. You know, maybe singing a few sort of spiritual songs here and there. It's just like an average picnic, really. But they, you know, I'd go over at weekends to visit my dad, and they did with me tarot, meditation, healing, talking about energy, reincarnation, past lives, what spirituality was. So it was a really interesting grounding at a really young age. I was about 13. So I was going to say 30 years ago, but we're really talking 31 years ago. And it was, as of Saturday, it'll be 31 years. But yeah, so I really, obviously there's a few things there that I really like the healing, and I took that and I did that onwards. I still do a little bit of sometimes on the pets and the kids. But it was the tarot that just kept calling my name. And I've always had a tarot deck handy, and my relationship with them has grown over the years. I'm no longer trying to predict the future so much as reflect on what is already here. And yeah, people years ago started calling me the tarot queen, which I hated. I was still not mad about it, but
yeah, but you are.
Can we shift it to the tarot priestess? I wonder. I don't know.
You can shift it to anything you want. You can.
Yeah. Crown on right now.
Yeah, you do. Divine light.
But yeah, no, the people started calling, but it took me a long time to kind of like be okay with that, and also getting over other people's preconceptions about what tarot is was a big difficulty, because I felt for a long time, particularly when I was younger, and I think we all do this, is we're trying to present what other people want. So we're trying to second guess how it is we should be behaving, and if we're not doing it in that way, then we must be doing it wrong. It's very kind of what's trained into us in school, but there was at that point no one there teaching tarot, so I had to kind of educate myself on how I wanted to read tarot, and then give myself permission to do that. So I wasn't being, you know, the psychic medium who predicts the future, but rather I was using tarot from a more kind of internal perspective of reflecting on where we're at, what needs to change and shift and grow, and as a bit of a magical intuitive superpower, which is spiritual and divine. So that's where I've been with tarot and all those books and cards, and hopefully more going forward. Hopefully,
and but that's also really quite a massive grounding in it. You know, not many people kind of have, you know, most people, I suppose, will happen upon it because of friends and kind of people you're hanging out with, and you don't get kind of Wiccan kind of picnics and rounders teams.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm saying it's fun. I just have awful memories of going to Sherwood Forest on one picnic and just being so ill. It was ridiculous. Not because the pagans had like poisoned me or anything. It was I had a tummy upset.
Oh,
That was horrific, like absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, enough on that, because it just went. I was a kid, and but this is the kid. This is like normal childhood memories infused with, picnics, and I think vomiting all over the ancient oak in the Sherwood Forest, which maybe no longer exists. Do you think that was me? Do you think I did that?
does it no longer exist?
I think not, but maybe it does.
Okay,
Find out. Sherwood Forest isn't so far from here, but I don't think I can go back.
just in case.
The trauma, honestly. For years, I couldn't think about Sherwood Forest without feeling ill. Maybe I had a reaction to it. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, no, it was quite a grounding and all of those things. And you forget it, don't you, when it's your actual life?
Yeah. Yeah, when it's your actual life, it just is.
It's like, doesn't everybody do this?
Yeah.
No, I don't suppose they do, but everybody has their own unique stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the magic of conversation, isn't it? It's finding out people's stories. I love that. You kind of meet people and you just kind of ask them questions, and then you just hear these amazing stories from people, and you think, wow, I'm so glad I met you.
That's why I love doing tarot, because people are obviously quite open about their lives, and there's two things about that. Obviously, the beauty of people being open about their lives and sharing stuff, and really heartfelt stuff, but also the fact that the cards just without fail reflect their lives back to them. Yeah. It's just like, I never get over how incredible that is. So I pull 3 cards for people at the beginning of a reading, and they're all like nodding away, like, yes, that's exactly my life. That's exactly my life. And it's not me. I'm just interpreting. I'm like the middleman between them and their divine. And the cards are the evidence of what I shouldn't know as a third party looking on, but somehow they allow me to know. There's just so much just divinity within that. It's mind-boggling.
Magic.
Again, yeah, magic.
Which actually brings me on to the question, how do you even use tarot in your everyday?
A lot less than I used to. I know that wasn't the question. I don't use them as much. I feel like they are to be used gently and carefully. And so I use them without expectation these days. So I used to come to them quite a lot with questions, like very specific questions, say about relationships or work, and then feel frustrated because the tarot are not always ones for giving a straight answer. They throw it back at you and they make you do the work. So these days, my tarot usage is more, tell me what I need to be thinking about or know today. So leaving it really, really open. And obviously I'm working with them all the time with people. And every time I work with people, it's like I get another download, another set of information. My understandings of the card shifts and changes and grows. Every workshop I do, every client. So my practice of tarot is like all encompassing, and it's everything, but it's also, I keep it at a bit of a distance because I don't want to hand my life entirely over to that. It still has to be me who makes the decisions.
But I think that's a good healthy thing to have, though, isn't it? It's because I think it's that connection of being able to unearth the thing that you already know that you might not want to kind of follow through on, and you sometimes need to push. It's a bit like having a conversation with a friend where you kind of throw a problem around or whatever, and then kind of you come up, most often through talking, you come up with a solution yourself, don't you? And I think this is a way of that's how I would use them as well. It's that kind of the push to do the thing that you kind of know that you might not want to know.
Yeah,
as well.
Because did you use them much before we did?
No, they were really erratic. I'd go through, I think it's that ADHD thing with me as well. I can kind of get quite focused on things and do them for a while. It's like trying to do as a kid, I used to go, oh, I'm going to do a diary and I'm going to write in it every day. And I'd get to maybe the 3rd week of January and then it would just go off the boil. So I'm a bit like that. I come to things in fits and starts and in waves and do them for a while really intensely and then don't bother with them again for months. And it's been the same, but since working on this with you, to try and understand them more and kind of look at them more and learn a bit more about them as well, I suppose, and learn about myself with them. You'd suggested just pick a card a day and just kind of pick it in the morning and just sit with it for the day and see what occurs. So I've been doing that a lot, and I send you the picture. Oh, today's card is
I don't pull them for myself anymore. Wait for you to do it.
Yeah, send you a
pleasure. So I'm normally the one doing it.
But I think it's just one of those things, isn't it, where it can sometimes instantly connect with us, or sometimes it's very much for you, or sometimes it's for me, or sometimes it's for the wider world. Yeah, and that has been really interesting, and sometimes I kind of go, no, don't know what that was meant for today, but other ones are kind of maybe something floats up a couple of weeks later. The one that keeps popping up, isn't it, is the Princess of Pentacles, and your card. So she would be our Page of Pentacles, I suppose, wouldn't she?
Yeah, let me have here she is straight away. So that would be the Page of Pentacles, which is quite a different image actually from in my Cosmic Mother. But it's really cute. It's just so cute.
Love that card. I love it.
The little elephant watering her pentacle.
Well, that was your Baba, wasn't that?
My little Baba elephant.
Yeah. She'd got chicken pox, hadn't she? And she was feeling a little bit better, and she was out digging a hole in the garden and watering it. And you just snapped this picture, which is just glorious. And so it was just, and she wanted to be an elephant, didn't she? Because we kind of asked everybody, didn't we, who took part, what do you want your head to be? And she wanted to be an elephant. So I adore that card, but that card keeps coming. It hasn't come up yet in this deck, weirdly, but in your deck, she would pop up sometimes day after day after day after day.
Yeah.
And I was like,
not for me, it's viral.
She's like a stalker. She just kept popping back. Funny.
But I do think meanings shift across decks. So when I'm reading for different people, sometimes I feel pulled to different decks because I think the imagery is different, and therefore the meaning shifts slightly, or sometimes colossally. So again, it's sometimes just an interesting thing to have several decks on hand and feel, when you're doing a reading for yourself or for someone else, to kind of just feel into which deck is the appropriate one. And sometimes, we use cards for, like, I'll have a deck that I just use consistently for years, and then something happens and I just change and I shift. So if anybody's in need of a new deck, yeah. And then sometimes you go back to a deck as well. It's weird.
I suppose it's like shoes.
Yeah, or jacket.
It's what you feel like on the day, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it can really define everything differently, one pair of shoes to another.
Which is our 5 of Pentacles.
Coins.
If I can find it.
Yeah.
Shoes, walking.
Here she is.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That is the 5 of Pentacles with lots of your shoes, I think, Niki.
And my husband's giant shoes. And the
children's shoes. Somebody's roller skate.
But I think that was about walking a mile in somebody else's shoes, or wasn't it? Or walking a mile in your own shoes as well.
Yeah.
That kind of
the comparative vibe as well. Like, I really want haven't I got their shoes? That kind of thing. And I guess shoes can make you feel ill at ease or comfortable.
And well, look, if you've been somewhere as well and you have had to put somebody else's shoes on to go and do something, and you've got, the kids will do it with us, well, let me put your shoes on, I'm going to go run out and do whatever. And you put somebody else's shoes on, and you're kind of like, oh, their footprint's almost inside it, and my foot doesn't fit in it properly. It's a really weird thing. It's a really personal thing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And the Five of Pentacles traditionally kind of shows two people walking into the sort of unknown whilst feeling maybe impoverished compared to other people. Which I guess if you, like you say, if you put a bad pair of shoes on or an uncomfortable pair of shoes on or a pair of shoes that gives you blisters, it just changes everything, the mindset, the mood.
And also that whole looking at somebody else, and you kind of, we were talking about it when we were making the cards, weren't we, about what people project on social media as what they kind of want people to see, and you don't see the mess behind the camera or the kind of the chaos of life and their worries and anything else. And so they're kind of presenting this incredible frontage for people, and it's that, it was that feeling with the shoes, wasn't it, is that, you know, you kind of can look at that frontage and only see so much about somebody, and actually you almost need to walk a mile in their shoes to be able to really understand their lives. You can, it's that best foot forward kind of thing as well, but it's about also looking at what you have and where you are, and not always thinking about wanting the thing that other people are projecting, because you don't know what else is actually going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a bit like, who do I be today, and how do I be genuine, or do I not? You know, do I lust after that other version?
Yeah.
But yeah. So, did we have more questions, or we've been talking quite a while? So maybe we should kind of leave it there.
I think that was kind of it, because I think we've kind of covered things. We've got our little list, haven't we, that we're kind of trying to ask everybody that we're interviewing. So we thought we'd ask ourselves. Oh, my mum's just arrived.
Well, that's perfect timing. I might need to go to the shops, actually, Niki. I'm running low on things. So shall we end this here? This was, and just
1 minute, Mum.
little reminder to anybody watching, and Niki's mum, we're currently
I know. Yeah, she always pops. She usually phones, but today she's popped.
No, you go have a cuppa with her, and please do subscribe and like and comment. Let us know your weirdest experience. What's your experience with tarot? You know, how did you come to the cards? We'd love to hear about that. Have you got the Rebel Heart deck yet? And if not, why not? And we're going to be doing some more videos, so keep checking into this space, because we were going to be interviewing some of these incredible people within the cards and doing regular card pulls for you guys. So thank you and goodbye.
Bye.